My fellow Canadians, let's talk about Canada. My name is John Davis, and the point of everything I'm about to say to you is that I choose to see the world as a gift to be treasured, and we are all in this together. Politics, though, and politicians, really? Haven't we all had enough of this nonsense calling itself our government? Where does this system get its legitimacy? It's ridiculous. Did you vote for it? Me neither. And beyond ridiculous, it is corrupt and fraudulent, like many of our institutions, including the mainstream media, which is no longer independent. There are topics that neither will discuss openly. Do you actually know and approve of where all of your tax dollars are really going? And all of the things that we are currently letting corporations do to our environment that we think we're going to pass on to our kids? And all the new technologies that we could be using right now if vested interests weren't holding them back? Really? I didn't think so. Why don't we start doing things sensibly? Make a real government that works for everyone fairly, with full transparency and accountability, open source. It's not hard. We can do this. Like many of you, I know that Canada has much greatness to share with the world. In fact, I feel like the whole world is watching us right now, hoping and praying that we take a conscious lead in world affairs and set an example for our neighbors to follow. Canada and Canadians have many admirable strengths and virtues, and I think the most important of these is to always stand up for what is right and true. Canadians are known and respected for this all around the world, as I've personally witnessed in my travels. There comes a time, however, when every organization must take a careful look at itself and clean its house of any outdated, counterproductive, or untrue ideas or practices. I believe this time is now upon us here in Canada, and I know that many of you feel the same. We, the silent majority of Canadians who are totally dissatisfied with our system of government and who do not agree that it represents us, are now speaking up. We have a federal election coming up this fall, giving us a chance to make sweeping changes to restore the dignity and value of every person in Canada and ensure our long-term success and survival as a society and even as a human civilization. As the old proverb says, may you live in interesting times. Well, these times of worldwide transformation seem about as interesting as it can get. The conversations in the world's halls of power right now are actually about the very survival of the human race on Earth. So, the stark question before each of us now is, what can I do? And does one person's voice and contribution even matter? And I am here before you now to say and demonstrate to you that unequivocally, yes, you matter. And all you have to do is remember that and act accordingly. The challenges of the world are not too big for us to face together. We already have an overabundance of good ideas on how to rejuvenate the Earth and all its natural and human populations entirely, and create a long-lasting legacy of peace and prosperity for everyone to enjoy. All it now takes is our collective will in implementing these ideas. If, like me, you have sat back from politics for years or decades, seeing it for the joke that it currently is, and recognizing the futility of achieving real change in an antiquated and bought-off system that shackles us from progress as a society and from unification as people, then now is the time you've been waiting for. We can change everything in this fall's election. Meaning, create a whole new model of government that actually works for everyone fairly, and through which we, the people, can steer Canada toward a future we all want. The system of government that we are still using today was dreamed up over a century and a half ago by a bunch of old, wealthy, white, male colonizers who rode around town in horse and buggies. Seriously, I am sure that we can come up with something much better today. We all know the system is set up to perpetuate itself and to favor the mega rich over everyone else. We let corporations destroy our environment to make a profit, steal the future from our kids, and then just walk away and close up shop and never be held accountable. This is suicidal madness, and we are not having it anymore. As many of us know, corporate financial influence has become inseparable from government decision-making. And newsflash, most corporations exist, by definition, solely for the benefit of their shareholders, not for the overall public benefit. How, as intelligent, thinking people, can we allow this biased influence of our government to go on? This corruption of our public system goes against the public good, as we can clearly see all around us in the ecological disasters now facing the Earth. It's not all doom and gloom, though. We can fix all this if we act decisively, together, now. Or do we think the status quo is going to repair itself? When in history has this ever happened? These corporate and economic influences are now so deeply embedded into the fabric of our governments that to many of us, it's obvious it doesn't matter which political party or prime minister is in power in Canada. The will and well-being of the common people is clearly not the driving agenda. This must change now. And we can make this change together, just by deciding so. Because why would we have to keep using these old systems? What if we all woke up tomorrow and just forgot what Canada is and how it runs? How would we rebuild it from square one? Wouldn't you like such a chance to consciously, justly, intelligently, and cooperatively recreate your government and country and have your voice heard and considered? I know I would. And that is why we have now launched this grassroots, people-powered political movement called the Public Benefit Party of Canada to run for election to Canada's government, end all corruption and the corporate-led destruction of the Earth's environment, and maintain the highest public benefit by restoring your and everyone's voice in deciding how our country runs, through creating, with your help, a new model of open-source, direct democracy government for Canada to show the world, upholding truth, transparency, and responsibility to and for every citizen, and the world, and all future generations. That is what we're doing here. So where do we start? I propose at the top, with a complete, open, public audit of the entire upper branch of the Government of Canada, including every individual involved, and not just a financial audit, one which also includes any of the ways that people can be influenced: social status, job offers, family favors, offshore accounts. We have to get all this stuff out in the open before it's even possible to have a government which serves the people first. We must root out and eradicate all the undue influence that we all know is lurking behind every closed door in Ottawa. And in fact, why would we want to have any closed doors in our government at all? Would an intelligent and informed population actually allow this? Wouldn't we instead insist on knowing the ins and outs of every dollar and decision that comes and goes through the hands of everyone in our government? Government is meant to serve the interests of the people. That's the point. Backroom deals with corporations and cabals cannot be permitted in a free, fair, democratic society. From now on, our government and all its operations must be performed completely out in the open and transparent for everyone to see, down to the dollar. And this is actually extremely easy to accomplish using the technology of today. We're not in horse and buggy times anymore. It is also now time for us to insist that every individual serving the public in a decision-making role in our government must be willing to do so with complete transparency and accountability. It is unthinkable that we would allow for the possibility of corruption, coercion, or conflict of interest to influence anyone whom we entrust to make decisions on our behalf, affecting our lives and our future. And really, how much do we actually even need to trust someone else at all to make decisions for us and to represent our interests? Because it would also be extremely easy to create an app that would allow everyone in Canada to vote with true direct democracy in a digital referendum on every issue that matters to us, and have all the information available and verifiable to us right at our own fingertips. Do we actually even need an executive government like we have now? Why not just a voting app, where you and I can be fully informed and have our voice heard and counted equally alongside everyone else's in an incorruptible, open source, public domain forum. If you're worried that mob mentality could take over this model, I think once all the corruption, secrecy, and hidden agendas are removed, and everything is out on the table for everyone to see, the innate intelligence and compassion of humanity would rise to the top and ensure the best outcome. I don't think humans are actually an uncaring idiocracy when given a fair shake. So these are now the crossroads where we find ourselves. Continue on a path to environmental oblivion and complete loss of Canada's autonomy to an elite class of international corporate financiers, or we can all together, here and now, decide to press the reset button and create a new, fair, intelligent, and accountable government that actually looks out for everyone and all future generations. Isn't it time for this now? If not now, when? After the Earth's ecosystems have been destroyed, past the point of supporting our civilization? Does that make sense? And do any of us think it's even possible that any of the mainstream political parties would be capable of making these changes? For the first time in history, we, the people, have everything we need right in our hands, right now, to make real change and a real New Deal a reality. Make your voice heard and your vote count, for real, at last. Let's open source our government and have a real democracy for the first time in our lives. A vote for the Public Benefit Party is a vote for your own voice and for your right to help choose the future. And ask not what the party or the world can do for you. Ask what you can do for the world. The time is now and you are needed. Please, people power is everything. Tune in, turn on, and sign up to the party. Let's reboot Canada now and show the world we can do this. If you've agreed with all this, then as of now, you are hereby deputized into our party to also run for Member of Parliament in your district, as I am in mine, if you're 18 or older and up for it. Otherwise, please find us someone more suitable to run for election whom you will stand behind and support. The game is afoot. Remember, you matter, and we've got this. And please, keep your stick on the ice. Well, that's all for now, friends. Thank you for watching. Be sure to have fun out there and shine on.